perfume trigger my coworker's asthma attack? She never told anyone. Not HR, not her manager, not the girls she ate lunch with every day. She just quietly kept a bag of asthma medication in her desk drawer and hoped she'd never need to explain why. I found this out the same day I found out I almost killed her. Her name was Elna. She sat 2 desks down from me, and honestly, we weren't even close. Polite work friends, the kind where you know their coffee order but not their middle name. I'd started wearing this new perfume that week, something my sister got me for my birthday, real heavy and floral, the kind that fills up a room before you even walk in it. I loved it. Got 2 compliments before 10 a.m. and felt like a whole new person. Around 11, I walked past Elena's desk to drop off some files, and I heard this weird sound, almost like a whistle, but wet. I looked over and she had her hand pressed against her chest, eyes wide, trying to say something, but nothing was coming out except this thin, scraping breath. I thought she was choking on food. I actually started to do the Heimlich. I grabbed her from behind before she waved me off frantically and pointed at her bag. Inhaler. She needed her inhaler. I dumped her whole bag out on the floor, my hands shaking so bad I dropped it twice, and finally found this little blue thing buried under a granola bar wrapper and a tampon. She grabbed it, took 2 puffs, and just sat there gasping while half the office stood around us not knowing what to do. Someone called 911. Someone else just stood there filming, which I will never forgive. But that's a different story. Paramedics got there in 9 minutes. I know because I counted every single one. She was okay. Mild attack. Not the worst one she'd had, they said, which honestly scared me more because it meant she'd had worse. She came back 3 days later and pulled me aside by the break room, and I braced myself for her to be angry. Instead, she just looked embarrassed. She told me she'd had asthma since she was a kid, that fragrances were one of her biggest triggers, and that she'd never said anything because the last time she disclosed it at a job, her manager started treating her like she was fragile and gave her worse assignments. So she just learned to hold her breath around perfume counters and hope for the best. Then she said something that I still think about. She said, "I've gotten really good at making myself smaller, so nobody has to accommodate me." She wasn't even looking at me when she said it. She was looking down at her hands, picking at the sleeve of her cardigan, and I didn't know what to say to that, so I just stood there. She told me about being 12 years old and having an attack in gym class, and a teacher accusing her of faking it for attention, making her run one more lap before anyone believed her. She said she carried that with her into every job since. This quiet fear that if she asked for anything, people would decide she was being dramatic. So she stopped asking. She just adapted and shrunk and held her breath. Literally, for years. I felt sick. Not because it was my fault exactly, I didn't know, but because she'd been quietly surviving next to all of us this whole time and nobody ever thought to ask. I kept replaying it. All those mornings I'd sprayed perfume in the bathroom mirror, feeling good about myself, never once wondering who else was in that building breathing the same air. It made me think about how many people are doing that everywhere, just quietly managing pain so the rest of us never have to be inconvenienced by it. I threw the perfume away that night. Didn't even think twice. But here's the part that actually gets me. A few weeks later, I found out our office had 0 fragrance policy on the books. Nothing. Not even a suggestion in the handbook. So I wrote one myself, sent it to HR, and Elena helped me edit it line by line. She told me it was the first time in 8 years of working somewhere that someone actually asked what she needed instead of deciding for her. We're close now. Actual close. Not just coffee order close. And every time I reach for perfume out of habit, I still stop and think of her, gasping, 2 desks down, trying to protect everyone else from ever having to worry about her.